How do I plan to pay off $30,000 in debt in 2019 as a pediatric resident? Well, simply utilizing and sticking to a budget. Like I talked about in my last video, common budget mistakes that medical student and medical trainees make. 81% of attending physicians either have a mental or don't have a budget at all. And if you think about in a broader population, 58% don't have a budget at all. And that means most people would not even be able to survive a $500 emergency. That is something that I want to prevent, not only in the medical community with us, but overall in each and every one of our communities. So if you don't want to live paycheck to paycheck, please continue watching this video. Let's get started. Before you put pen to paper or type things in your Excel sheet, there's a few things that you need to think about before starting your budget. First off, what is your net income and how often do you get paid? Your net income is your gross minus all taxes, retirement, giving. So basically, what are you left over to live with within the month? Secondly, what are your fixed expenses? These are expenses that do not change regardless from month to month, like your mortgage, rent, car payment. Next, what are your necessary variable expenses? Those things that may change month to month but are necessary for your living and survival. And then what are your desired variable expenses? And that can be like entertainment, home decor, other desired items that are not necessary to live but would be nice to have. Next, what are your savings goals for each month? Or what do you have in sinking funds? Sinking funds are line items in your budget that you may not have to pay for today, but you want to save for over a matter of time in order to reach a certain goal by a certain time. Like for Christmas shopping, you might save monthly in order to buy Christmas presents at the end of the year. Or vacationing, you know you want to go on 2 vacations a year, so you save a certain amount of monthly in order to be able to travel the following year. What are your debts? What do you owe to Sally Mae or to credit cards or to a private loan? Any of those things, you need to be able to know how much you owe, what you have to pay at minimum monthly, and when you would like to pay those things off. So in today's video, I'm going to take you through a sample budget that will be available below for download that you can start your budget with, and take you through an example of a budget that a resident or a fellow may have and some of those sample line items. Of course, it would be different for each person and each family, but you can adjust the budget to fit your necessary needs. So let's get to it. All right, guys, so we're going to get started with this budget template. This is just going to be a sample budget because some of the needs that I have personally right now in my budget is different as a third-year resident transitioning into a fellow. So I will be doing a video on my update on my debt payoff where I'll go a little bit more in depth with my personal budget. But for today's purposes, it will be a sample on how you to set up your own budget. So first, I usually try to plan my budget for the whole entire year. This enables me to be able to kind of see my bigger picture of my finances and kind of to tell my monthly budget to what I would need to do to meet my yearly goals. So you need to decide if you get paid once a month, every other week, and I usually put the date that I'm getting paid for the year. Then I would place what my net income is, so what you get in your paycheck after all your taxes and everything is removed, and say you get $1,700 every 2 weeks. So you would place that in the top part or income 1 slot. If you are married and you have a second income, or if you have a side hustle, you can put that budget in each one of those categories. Also, I usually put in what I'll be getting for my tax refund for the year. So let's say I'll get it in March, and I put that all in my income. So that allows me to kind of know what I'm working with from month to month. A couple of things I want to show you is in this particular budget that you can download below is for the debt categories. I actually place how much I owe for each debt. So as you are plugging in during your monthly budget, the Excel sheet is calculating how many payments or the amount of payment that you have made and tell you what your remaining balance is. So you can adjust your budget accordingly throughout the month in order to meet those goals. Same with savings and sinking funds. I put what I have a goal for the year, and then that would kind of determine what I would need to save each month in order to meet the goal for savings or sinking fund. So let's look. First, I told you to see what are your fixed expenses. So that's your rent, your mortgage, things that are not going to change monthly, and you plug those in. So say for instance, you may have $700 in rent. You can choose to pay half each pay period in order to pay for when it's due the following month, or you can pay it all in one paycheck and use the other paycheck for other expenses. For this purpose, we'll do splitting it in half. And then you go on and plug that in for the entire year if you don't plan to move. And you do that for each one of these fixed expenses categories. But remember, some months are extra weeks within the year if you're getting paid bi-monthly. So for this year, April and October actually have 3 pay periods within the month. So make sure that when you're plugging in down here that you're not giving extra payments on one of those months, because you can use that extra funds to meet some other goals in your budget. Then you look at your variable expenses. Say if you do groceries, $100 every 2 weeks, then you plug those in here. I would recommend actually putting those necessary variable expenses in first before you go add like some of your desired items like housing decor, clothing, or gaming, whatever those things are. Plug in your minimum monthly payment for your credit card debt. So again, you can do it every 2 weeks or you can do it during one single paycheck. And every time that you plug something in and you plug it in for the whole year, you look, I owe $10,000 on a car. I've made $3,000 towards that purchase. So I would owe how much I would owe after. Same for like say this credit card here. I owe $500, but if I paid it off, I can actually pay it off throughout the year. So I see it's negative $700. So I need to take $700 off of this. One thing about debt payoff, though, especially with credit cards and things of that nature, some people recommend, which I do too, is a debt snowball. So you pay the minimum on all of your debts and then you attack one debt at a time. Now, for earlier residents and fellows, there are some anticipated expenses that you will have throughout residency if your program or job will not pay. For instance, board exam. The pediatric board exam, I think, was $2,600 for next year. So instead of waiting until your third year of residency where you may have to pay to relocate, pay to buy a new house, and all these other expenses are coming out your paycheck, you know already that your board exam is going to be close to $3,000. So you set a goal to actually save the amount of money that you would need to pay. So again, pediatric boards this year was $2,600. But if I gave $100 per month towards that, by the end of the year, I already have it and I don't have to come up with one lump sum
of $2,600 to pay the board exam. And you can do that with fellowship interviews, moving expenses, going to national conferences, or membership fees as well. Now with savings, I recommend treating savings almost like a bill. So your emergency fund or savings, you should be putting something towards that every paycheck. And then, say for instance, with a sinking fund, if you want to go home for the holidays or go on a vacation that you anticipate will cost about $2,000 or $3,000, then you set your goal and then you adjust what you need to pay each month in order to meet that goal. So you see, just by paying $50 a month for this year, I won't meet the goal of $2,000. So in some months, I may need to increase how much I'm spending per month in order to meet that goal by the end of the year, in order to go on vacation the following year. And you can do that with each sinking fund. Now, some you may not want to pay monthly. Like say, for instance, for Christmas gifts, you don't want to give $10 towards yourself every month, but you know that you want to buy all your Christmas gifts in November, then you may go on and budget yourself Christmas items right where you know you have the extra money to do so. You can go on and put it in. So I hope that you're kind of understanding where I'm going with this. So now, for instance, let's look at the bottom. If it falls in with parentheses, that means you are over budget. These here without the parentheses, so you have a surplus. So you may have to go back in at that point and be like, well, dang, that means there's too many things coming out of my expenses for the first 2 weeks. So I need to adjust and pay some things during this pay period that this pay period won't cover. And then once you would make the adjustments, say for instance, you can't put things towards that. Now I have an even balance is what your goal should be at the end of each 2 weeks, because every dollar has a name and it has a place. But you see that you have $360 left in this item. So you're trying to pay off debt, right? So maybe for this month, you actually would go on and pay $410 towards your credit card. And that way you kind of paid off a little bit more and you have a less remaining balance. And you do that for each month of the year planning, and that kind of gives you a yearly view of your finances. After that, then you can go each month and put in what actual expenses were and adjust accordingly in order to still meet your yearly financial goals.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope that this budget form as well as this video has been informative and helpful to you on your journey to financial success. And I hope that this made it simple for you to start your very own budget. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and make sure you check out some of my other videos about budgeting and how to survive in medicine.